Welcome to another episode. We're bringing in one of our esteemed guests, someone who has been around for a while in this sport, Maggie the Aggie Malone. Welcome. How you doing today?
I'm good, Wallace. It's always good to see you and Erik. This is the best. Yeah.
Well, appreciate you
Why'd
for
you
coming.
say she's been around for a while? Like she's old or something?
Because she's been hanging around with somebody I know in Francique and Coach Henry. So I feel like I've seen her for many years. And sometimes you just know. You just know.
Two-time Olympian.
Yeah.
Great success on the domestic stage. Success equally on the international stage. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah. We were kind of saying this offline, and I do want to highlight it because I think it's important. Sitting here with Erik and Wallace, you guys have been so successful in your careers, like uber successful, and things that, I aspire to have one day and accomplish one day and think I am capable of. But when Wallace asked me, to come on the podcast, I was very surprised because I just feel not worthy to, which is, I think, what a lot of us feel on this team as I've had different conversations with people. And I think one thing I just kind of wanted, as we were talking, it was when you look at Team USA, we are so good. And we're so deep and in so many different areas, but most of this team is not going to come home with a medal. Most of this team is not going to come home, making it to the semis or the semis or the finals. And I was in that boat. Definitely did not expect to be in that boat. I really thought that I honestly thought that I could win this. And I think a lot of people on Team USA come in and think that because we have such a history of success. And so it's hard to sometimes be in this realm where excellence is demanded. And you guys have all felt it, from your coaches or just the expectations of your teammates around you that you want to level up to them also. And sometimes it's hard to sit in that and watch everybody succeed and know that you can be on that same level and know that you also underperformed. So it's, you have to hold it in both hands. And this is, my fifth team or whatever that I've made. And I was, very blessed to make the final in Tokyo, and I've also missed, these last couple World Finals. And I think that I deserve from how I've worked to be in that. I believe that I'm good enough to be there, but it's hard sometimes to sit back and watch, a lot of people have success, but I think a lot of us on the team are in the same position that I'm in right now, which, you're disappointed and having to just sit with that sometimes. Yeah.
And I think that's something that is missed from a fan perspective sometimes, and even, from a teammate perspective, right? Like we forget that there are only 3 medals. Yeah. And this is indeed the hardest team to make. So in many regards, as it relates to the rest of the world, you're already, a medalist if you're on the American team because it's just so difficult, right?
Yeah, you put a micro lens on that, and, from everybody from back home in Texas, Nebraska, Alabama, wherever I've been, everybody looks at it and it's like, oh my gosh, like you've done it. But also because Team USA is so dominant, it's my husband and I say this all the time. It's really funny. When people find out that I'm an Olympian, they're like, oh, so did you get a medal? Yeah. And then having to it stings. Even now, I can get choked up about it because it's like, no, I didn't. And then there's this response sometimes. It's like, oh. Exactly. Yeah. And it's so funny. One of our South African friends, they said, it's almost like this process in their head is like, oh, well, then I could have just made the team at Team USA. You didn't get a medal. Oh, must not have been anything. Right. I guess I could have been there. And that's sometimes hard to sit in where you're like, I've worked. This is the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. This is the hardest thing. The failure and also the shining moments that come, not often, but they do come. But the failures happen so much more. And then having to face that to people sometimes and say no, I haven't had a medal, but I was 10th in the world, or I was 18th today, and I know that I can be better, but there is, yeah, it's hard sometimes being on Team USA and seeing everybody succeed. Yeah.
And even having to prove that on a year-to-year basis. I
Yeah.
feel like there's even struggles with that.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Someone could win this year
Yep.
and not make the team next year, or
Yeah.
vice versa. And I feel like there's pressure put on them there.
Yeah.
So could you talk about, that constant, just you have to produce on a year-to basis? Could you speak about that a little bit?
Yeah, the producing consistently is something that I have tried to. I've really had to fight for in my career.
Yeah.
I went through a lot of mental health stuff after making the team in 2016 because that was never anything that I never wanted to be a professional athlete.
Right.
I really, I started throwing javelin in college in 2013, and then I made the team in 2016, and then it was like, oh. You're in the pro world now.
Right.
Figure it out.
Right.
And this is what you do now. But I was perfectly fine with, hey, I was gonna, finish. I was hoping to be an All-American. Like I was gonna finish my career and go on with life, get married, have a job, have kids, and life goes on. So then I'm in this world in 2016, 2017, where I'm trying to navigate how to be a professional athlete. Here's a contract, here's this, here's that, here's expectation. And having then to produce that next year after I was just in a collegiate system my entire life. I mean, Rio was the first international competition I've ever had. Like it was an Olympic competition.
So you were a late bloomer in the sense of
early, I guess, because I'd only been throwing 3 years.
Wow.
And throwers peaking a little bit later in their career.
Yeah. I mean, you look at Kara's career, she had the best season at age 36. And with women, I was talking to Andreas Thorkelson. He is one of the greatest throwers of all time in javelin. And he said, if you watch women, they get stronger as they age. When 30, 31, 32, 33, they get better. They get so much better. And it's hard sometimes to think about the longevity of that and the production of that every single year, because every year you want to one up. And I have to be better than the year before. I have to be better than that than the year before. And if you think of anybody who's not in athletics, that's in a job. So like I have a full-time job. I work for Arbor Day Foundation. Shout out Arbor Day Foundation. Nobody, in that job has to come every single day and think I have to be better than the day before, like immensely better. And everybody's eyes are on me, and my family's eyes are on me, and my friends' eyes are on me, and my health care is dependent on that. Like there's so much that's dependent on producing every single year and getting the best out of yourself every single time.
And let's not focus on what you don't have. Let's focus on what you do have.
Yeah.
I went to a competition, and you might not have known that I was there. It was in Chula Vista.
Oh.
And as I walked over, I saw Kara and some few others I recognized, but I saw something flying through the air, and the whole crowd went crazy.
Yeah.
Do you remember that competition?
I do.
Care to talk about it?
Yeah, that was when I set the American record the first time with 66, and I almost didn't go to that meet. I felt so sick. I was like, I almost pulled out. And it was one of the greatest feelings because I never thought that I would throw plus 64 meters. Like I really thought my end cap was like 64. I'm like, okay, if I can make the team again, that's what my goal was to make the team. And now I'm in a position after I threw that, which was, oh wow, you just broke Kara's record, who is my idol. Like she was the first video I ever watched. Like she's just such a warrior in this sport, and gosh, just amazing. And to have her there and to talk about it and to like share that with her was amazing. Just, it's like a movie, it's like that doesn't happen. And then to go on, and then I broke it again through 67, like a few weeks later. And it was one of the greatest experiences of my life. And it was also the most unexpected. Somebody said the other day, they were like, your personal bests, they were like, I swear, they happen when you least expect it. Mm-hmm. It's like on the days where you're not feeling well, or you're like, okay, well, let's see what happens. And a coach said to me about Worlds after I didn't make the final, because I said, man, I felt so prepared. Like I wouldn't change anything in the preparation. I felt great. And he said, Maggie, the thing about Worlds or the Olympics is, you have two hands and they're open. And in one hand, you have to have all the preparation physically, mentally, and emotionally there. And in the other hand, a lot of athletes, they close it as a fist, and it's like, I'm going to make this final. I'm going to hit that distance. I'm going to, jump that far, whatever it is. And he said, but you have to open that hand, and you have to come in knowing that you're prepared and also accepting that whatever happens today, I am okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Eric's going to love this part, and I'm going to hand it over to him. I don't know if this is true, and I hope you can confirm. You used the phrase Bronco de Gata earlier when we were speaking to another guest. As I approached the throws arena, I was told that somebody let a jab go that maybe had went a little too close to his Bronco, and he got a little scared.
Maybe, yeah.
Was that you?
Yes, that was me. I definitely have at least one wild throw, whether if it's in a warm up or it's like I get the nerves out. I wasn't going to share this, but I will. In the qualification round, my warm-ups were awesome. Like, I was like, boom, 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 outside the stadium. Got inside the stadium, first throw, I hit the little car that came through the side, like, nailed it. Like broke the javelin on it.
Wow.
And the whole crowd, like, it was like, throw, and I was like, oh, crap, like, that's so bad. And then the whole crowd just goes, oh!
Bronco de Gata, you trying to take the Bronco out.
I did. I really did.
So I want to touch back on something that you spoke about earlier, because you talked a little bit about mental health, right? And your mental health and the adversities you faced. And then you also, on the same note, switched over to how things went for you in qualifying, not making the finals. And it seems that you have taken that a lot better. It seems like you've progressed. So what has helped you in your own personal journey as it relates to mental health tools? Because there are multiple athletes, like you stated, that go through this, right? As many as there are, here that are not going to leave with any hardware.
Yep.
There are 10 times that amount at home who didn't even get the uniform, right?
100%.
And who are struggling with maybe, whether it's mentally, physically, spiritually, or emotionally, like the next pursuit for them. Like, hey, should I continue next year, right? Should I try to go to the trial? Should I work and, keep this going? Or should I give up? Like, what tools have you used or found to be useful for you to keep you at a state of, peace and progress and a peaceful posture where you're not, like, hey, I'm going to give up and I'm not going to let this emotional wall fall on me?
Yeah, that's a great question. I am a huge advocate for therapy. I just think everybody has trauma that they are dealing with no matter what it is, whether you had a 2-parent household, 1-parent household, no parent house, whatever it is, like you are coming in with some trauma. Yeah. You had a hard coach, you had, a sibling, something. And you may or may not know, but you're going to carry that into every area of your life. Oh, yeah. And so for me, like, failure was not an option. So for me, a lot of times, and like, I love my parents, we're in a great place, but they're coaches. My mom was a heptathlete. My dad's a football coach in the South. So winning is it,
Everything, Yeah.
And so I came to realize that I always say, like, my parents are amazing, but they parented me like a coach. And so I knew that, or I felt or attributed at the time that if I succeeded, that was love, because I was getting praise, I was getting admiration, I was getting, just like, I don't know what the word for it, but just a security. Yeah. I think that was a security thing. And when I wasn't, I didn't feel that security. I felt like I couldn't handle it. It was devastating to me. And so coming off of 2016, I just like epically failed, quote, in the Rio Olympics. After I had broken the collegiate record, I had just made the team, I'd won the trials. And so then to go on this high to just a nosedive, it was, my soul couldn't even handle it. I felt so embarrassed. And so I started going to therapy, and I did a lot of, it's like the word now, like your inner child work, but like it's legit, like it is. And so I did a lot of inner child work, and as a female athlete, like I had a lot of unhealthy, eating habits as well, because I'm trying to look like Allison Felix. Well, guess what, honey? You're throwing the javelin. You never look like that. Right. You ain't looking like that, Allison Felix. Like,
I was trying to.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're trying to look like something. So there was a lot of work that I had to do around, like, hey, your body is what it is, and it's given by God, and like my faith is number one. Like that is the number one thing that has brought me through all of this. And I grew up in the church, but didn't really understand. I didn't have a connection with Christ, and thankfully, I went to Texas A&M, and I had an incredible group of women and men that were strong believers that really could have great conversations with me and show me what their relationship looked like. And I was interested. And then through the therapy, and then through like knowing who Jesus is and what he says about me, of like, you are precious, you are loved, you are adored by a king, a father, was powerful, and something that I could cling to, and something that continued to motivate me, because now I know, okay, failure is going to happen.
Yeah.
It's still going to sting. It's still going to hurt.
Absolutely.
But like I was reading,
It's not fatal.
It's not fatal.
Yeah.
It's not fatal. And someone had said this to me. They said, do you believe that if God is writing your story, that he will have something better for you, even if failure is a part of that? Like, do you truly believe that through the failure, something good is going to come from that? And I was like, I don't know. And they were like, because I believe, and now I'm at that point, I believe that whatever failure is going to happen, whatever, peak high and peak low, that God's continued plan for me and God's continued story for me is going to be greater than any story that I could write for myself. And if that means never getting a medal, I can still trust that there's going to be joy in the process of that, and there's going to be growth in the process of that, and I'm going to become the woman that I want to be and that God wants me to be, and hopefully a mother at some point that even if I don't reach what I want, it's going to be for his purpose and his glory. And so from a mental health standpoint, that has been the number one thing that has gotten me through everything. Because we had somebody that died on a cross for us that said, hey, you don't have to do anything. Right. You are worthy no matter what.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Maggie, we got a little deep there. And I say this because you gave us so much praise earlier but I'm someone who has definitely benefited from seeking and participating in, mental health therapy. And I've
And what worked for you?
I've saw a sports psychologist for 12 years. I saw a regular psychologist, for I think equal amount of time. I mean, we should switch on and off.
Yep.
If you're as old as I am in the NCAA, the term mental health didn't exist at one point in time,
especially for me.
You didn't talk about it.
No, you didn't talk about
No.
it. I was just under the assumption that I was fucked up. And, and some people were fucked up and some people weren't.
Yeah.
Right? But
some people had it and some people didn't.
Right?
Yeah.
And then as you mature and you realize like, oh no, I carry this trauma.
Yep.
And it helps me succeed, but it's also a burden, right?
Yep.
And you just kind of have to get past that. But I just want to just let you know that, listen, greater is she that is within thee, than she that is within the world. And I want you to continue, to know that you're the head, not the tail. And, although you're leaving here with nothing as it relates to an inanimate object of a medal, you are more than something. And
I appreciate you saying that.
And
it's hard to see that. And it's hard to see that when the microscope is here or when the microscope is in Paris. Yeah. It's hard to see that your worth is not the medal that hangs around your neck.
For sure.
It's the conversations and the impact that you can make on people and the connections that you can make on people.
Absolutely. And I just, you're doing a lot more than throwing a javelin.
I appreciate that.
And we just wish you continued success and to keep working on your health, both mentally, spiritually, physically, and emotionally. And we're definitely here from, an athlete perspective, but also from a humanity perspective for you as much as we can be. And we enjoy having you on the show. And I just, I feel like I didn't know you much when we came in here, but I think we just kind of made a little connection.
Do we just become best friends?
I think we
did. Yeah.
I think we got something going here.
I have a quick question. I know you guys have to wrap up real quick, but something I think that helps me or helps other athletes is hearing from the hard season. I think that's what I want to cling to. So, when you hear a great thrower, Kara, hey, I tore my ACL twice. Yeah. This is what my brain said. This is what I was thinking. This is what happened. And then this is how I got through it. Do you guys have any of those?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can you give a quick summary?
So I can tell you from 2008 in Beijing, the first Olympic Games. So going into the games, I actually had torn cartilage and fractured bone in my knee, and a lot of people didn't know. So I worked closely with the medical team prior to the start of the event. And if you go watch some of the first rounds, we had 4 rounds then, I looked like Spider-Man with all the KT tape I had on my leg. So worked tirelessly night and day to be prepared to run. Made it to the rounds, finished in 3rd place. 350 meters into the victory lap, Usain Bolt's agent called me over and told me, "You're disqualified." I had no idea. In the middle, at the end of the victory lap, I was humiliated. Looked up at the screen, and when I tell you, it was like everything I had worked for seemed like it was gone. To your point, that was my worth, that was my value, or so I thought so in the moment. And there was no mental health. We had mental health providers, but that wasn't a thing we did. You thought something was wrong with you if you actually utilized their services. But for me, went back, and I had to spend a lot of time with my family before I started training for next year. And every time I actually touched the track from there on out, any weight room, it was with a purpose. And it wasn't necessarily to obtain a medal, but it was to show myself that I was actually worth being there. I deserve to be there. I am more than just that moment, and I'm going to come back bigger, faster, stronger. And I use that as my therapy every time I touch the track. I honestly wished I was smart enough to utilize those services like you all did, but in that moment, it
was a different time.
Yeah,
it's a different time. Did you have a mantra or anything, or did you just say like, was it just like this internal, like, I'm never feeling like that again, or what? Yeah.
Absolutely. It was work hard or hard work. It was my choice how to get the job done. And it doesn't matter on or off the track.
Yeah.
I feel like as an athlete, you go through hard times and you have to be able to balance that. And with that being said, it's a lot of athletes, whenever they win, they're not looking to make change. They're not looking to get better. But when you're humbled by that loss or by that challenging time, you look in the mirror and you start calculating, hey, what did I do wrong? How can I get better? What did I go through and why?
Yeah.
And you start to fix things. And honestly now, like I've done a lot of work with a lot of our youth events. The stories I get to tell them, you know, not every story is a success story.
Yeah.
But if I didn't go through that, how would I relate to someone who's actually going through something in that moment?
Yeah.
So it helps out a lot, tremendous.
Yeah. That's huge. I want to hear
it's
yours too.
mine?
Oh, yeah.
Mine is a little different. Obviously, people look at my success and it's like, oh, you know, I'm an Olympic gold medalist without a gold medal, right? You know, I'll be getting that next year sometime. But I spent the majority of my career going crazy trying to be someone I was already. You know, when you think about it, right?
Yeah.
You take silver at the Olympics in 2012, you think. So you spend the next 10 years or however many years of your career trying to, you know, be a gold medalist, trying to, you know, walk the walk and talk the talk.
Because you're supposed to.
Because you're supposed to,
Yeah.
because you're not good enough already, then to find out later on that, like, no, the man that you were attempting to be, you are. And were, right, was extremely, like, difficult. And I think that's why it was so easy for me to retire, right? Because, I mean, I came in 4th at the trials for Tokyo, and I was just like, okay, I'm done. And it was because, you know, I felt like I was in a peaceful posture with my career.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'm not going to continue to drive myself crazy or, you know, continue to, you know, keep... Because high jump is definitely mentally strenuous. I mean, you end in failure all the time. You know, you knock the bar down and you fail over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Right? And,
that's the last jump.
It's the last jump. It's usually a failure, right? If you even watching this World Championships, John Marco Tamberi won at 236. He put the bar to 240. He didn't even jump it. He just went under it, right? Because it's just like, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Because you drive yourself insane usually.
Yeah.
In that. But, you know, I carried for my career, and, you know, a high school teacher of mine, my sophomore year, he was a history teacher. He gave me a 4-inch long and about 1.5-inch thick piece of steel with a question mark on the back of it that said, what would you attempt to do if you cannot fail? And that was kind of like, you know, that's something that I carried with me physically for a while.
Yeah.
But it's something that I carry with me every day mentally. It's just, you know, what would I attempt to do if I couldn't fail? Because it's like, you know, on the one end, hey, you know, I'll attempt to do this, I'll do this, I do this. Then on the other end, it's like, wait, you know what the outcome is going to be.
Yeah.
So would you even, you know, exhaust yourself in the attempt if you know what the outcome is going to be, right?
Yeah.
So it just speaks to me about the balance of life and success and failure, and you know, keeping the small stuff, and the big stuff, and not, you know, allowing those things to get convoluted, right? and just operating from a state of self-preservation. So,
And did you cling to something as you were like I'm a silver medalist. I'm supposed to get gold next year. Like, how do you? Because I feel
lived,
that.
yeah, and I think I lived in that space for a while, and it was an immature space. It was a space that was a fearful space, right? Because it's a state of comparison that you live in when you shouldn't. You spoke a little bit about, your faith and being a believer. And, when you know that, hey, they crucified Jesus Christ, so who am I?
Yeah.
Literally, who am I?
Endure anything.
To actually, you know what I mean? So it's one of those things.
Okay.
And you just, and it's something that, you go through. And I personally live by, that I know that there's more greatness in me that I haven't, brought out. And, and the impact that I'll have on the world. I mean, I have 2 kids now, 2 sons, 1-month-old and a 1-year-old, right? And they'll probably never know anything about how cool their dad was. You know what I mean?
Just show them the beginning of this podcast.
Right. They'll be like, "Dad, high jumping. What is that?" You know what I mean? So, and that stuff is, those things are just things.
Yeah.
And it's not who you are. And your greatness is transferable. You just have to reach out and touch and apply, your energy and your focus to, the impacts and the things that you want to impact and the people you want to impact. And it's not limited to how far you throw the javelin at all.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's such a good word, honestly. That stuff helps. That's what, when you ask, like, how do people continue when they don't make a team, those stories, the stories that people don't talk about on the Instagram reel or on the TikTok, we got to hear those.
Yeah. Well, now you hear more of them.
Yeah.
That's why
we're here.
We're doing this, right? So hopefully nobody gets any tearjerker moments. I won't cry because I'm kind of.
I almost did.
I'm a little. Maybe get a little there, but
Cutting onions in here.
this is definitely one of our most powerful segments that we've had here, and I didn't know what to expect from it. Honestly, I don't know much about the Jav. It's actually the same event as the high jump below the waist.
Oh, dude, it is the penultimate step.
Yeah,
it is there are so many things that you have to have in balance. And like, as I did every sport in high school, right? I wanted to play college volleyball, basketball, track, softball, did it all. In all of those sports, you can work harder and success is almost linear. If I'm on the basketball court, and I was a point guard. So if I'm on the basketball court and I want to make a play, I can make a play.
Yeah.
If I'm on the track, I'm on the runway, and I'm trying to make a play with Javelin and trying to muscle it, it's over.
It's over.
It's over.
Yeah.
You have to be relaxed. And I'm saying, sure, it's the same in high jump. You have to be relaxed. You have to have that flow.
Controlled aggression.
Yes, it is a controlled aggression. And you, again, it's that open hand kind of concept. I'm okay with whatever happens, but my effort is going to be there.
Yeah. Yeah, effortless execution for sure. Well, this has been extremely powerful, and we thank you again for your presence here and just for coming to share your story with us. And
Thank you guys.
I won't say I hope to see you in Paris because now I know I'll see you.
You'll see it.
We're
going to do it again.
I have that much faith in you. So
I appreciate you guys a lot. This is awesome. This podcast has helped me a lot to see everybody's stories and just give a highlight to athletes who don't normally get it. So this has been great, and you guys are great.
So for those who want to continue to watch and support you, please let us know what your social media handles are. And
you can, as Wallace said earlier, at Maggie the Aggie. It's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to remember. That's where I try to post everything. If you want to be my Facebook friend, if you're over the age of 60, you can.
Facebook is reserved for old folks.
Like
now.
if you are over the age of 60 and would like to be friends, we can be friends. I don't do TikTok because it's just not my thing. But I answer almost every DM, and I use it as a connection point. So Instagram's where I'm at. And that's about it.
Well, Maggie, thank you for joining us, and safe travels back home.
You guys too. Mm-hmm.
I'm sure I'll hear more about Nebraska and
Coach Vincent. Yeah. He'll let you know. He'll let you know.
Oh, snap.
Well, thank you.
Thank y'all.